they'll definitely pop. So you'll know all your circuits when this is over.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock. I will call the Harrison County Commission meeting for January 8th, 2025 to order. If you will rise and join us in the invocation and pledge, please.
Holy Spirit, come. Come to the stream, Holy Spirit. Please be a part of our thoughts. Count the number of our heartbeats and be the light on our feet as we go into the new year. In your precious name, we ask all these things. Amen. Pledge allegiance
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess I'll say Happy New Year. It was on the Today Show that it's still okay to say Happy New Year to everybody. So. Okay, number one, review, discuss, consider organizational matters for calendar year 2025. First off is election of president. What's the pleasure? Motion for me to remain as president. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
B, hours of operation for courthouse and general services building. What's the pleasure?
The current hours are 8 AM to 4 PM, Madam President, and be the recommendation to keep them the same this year.
I'll move that we have these hours as they currently are, 8 to 4. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, motion carried. Well, motion carried. We did have one no. Wait. C, date and time of regular meetings this list was approved December 4th, 2024. What's the pleasure? Motion to approve the date and time of regular meetings that was approved December 4th, 2024. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. D, commission meeting schedule of deadline for requisitions and agenda items. What's the pleasure?
Yeah.
Motion to approve commission meeting schedule of deadlines for requisitions and agenda items. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. E, holiday schedule for 2025.
To approve.
Motion,
Schedule for 2025 as presented.
motion to approve holiday schedule for 2025. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. F, appointments to boards and committees. Exhibit A, boards and committees commission serves on, and B is Harrison County Commission Board appointees for 2025. What's the pleasure?
Approve appointees, exhibit A and B.
Motion to approve exhibit A and B for appointments to boards and committees for the commission. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried. Any against? Opposed? Motion carried. Number 2, public comment period. Is there anyone signed up to speak?
There's not.
Okay, is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak publicly? Anyone on Zoom wish to speak publicly? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. What's the pleasure?
Move to approve consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 4, payroll change notices, A through I. Okay,
We can run the search on the table item number 2. So that we can, as long as we can hold this.
Okay, so there's a motion to bring number 2 off the tabled items. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none,
So-
motion carried.
Item number 2,
Yes,
is it not already on payroll change?
It has to be removed from the table items to allow to, be on rather than vote.
So the payroll change notice that is on the tabled items
We can't
is,
vote on that. We voted,
that's the one that was not submitted by the elected official, so that's not the one to be approved. The one to be approved is in the list of payroll change notices for today, so we just need to pull off 2 and have no action on it.
the motion is to remove number 2 from the table.
Right.
and to remove it from the agenda.
We still want the one in the list
The one that's in the list, the payroll change notice for
from the current.
4E, correct. So we'll
we-
remove payroll change notice on the tabled items number 2 and have no action on it.
Okay, could you redo that motion, Patsy, so I understand what I'm voting on for number 2, this tabled item?
All we're doing is removing the table item, so therefore it can't be on the table change notices, Commissioner, until it's off the table first. Because it's technically tabled until further notice until we take it off of it.
It's 2 separate
Yes.
payroll requests,
Right.
so we're killing this payroll request.
No, we're filling the table item. request.
Okay, we're killing the
Which is,
table item.
you're right, you're correct. Which is a request for payroll change that we stalled, not installed, we tabled until further notice, and now we're allowing it to be on the current list.
Because it's a new, we
Right.
have a new payroll change
Right.
notice on the current agenda.
On the same.
The old one that we tabled is number 2 on the consent, or on the table
So
item.
we should just vote number 4 payroll change notices and then just remove number 2 from tabled items.
Yes, sir.
We need to remove before we vote, correct, for on the other.
The vote's gonna wipe out
The
table items.
Table items.
So it doesn't matter how you do it.
Well, why just make one motion?
Just take one motion to vote on the payroll change notices as presented for a.
Through I,
Sorry.
yes.
Okay, so the motion is to approve payroll change notices number 4, A through I. And we're not even going to discuss anything about the table item.
No.
Got it. Okay. Any discussion, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Guess I should ask this. Do we need to remove the tabled item though?
It's dead.
Okay.
Dead now.
Just want to make sure. Number 5, minutes and or amended minutes of previous meetings. We do not have any, correct?
Correct.
They're not meeting, last meeting.
The last meeting would have been December 18th, and they'll be on next week's agenda. I don't recall offhand if we've received them. I'm sure we have. They just didn't make it to this week's agenda.
When was our last meeting?
December 18th.
It's kind of hit or miss, but they.
You had holidays and you probably were.
Either Friday afternoon, like fairly after, but Friday afternoon, so they probably just haven't had enough.
And you've had holidays and days off and
And then once they have those 3, I think it'll be fine.
When did you say?
Friday, this past Friday. We'll have to do.
So then they wouldn't have made it to this agenda because now the deadline is on Thursdays with the holidays and everything. So they'll be on next week's agenda.
okay. Requisitions, purchase orders number 6 and invoices as shown on A vendor list of payments. What's the pleasure? Okay, motion is to approve 6 requisitions, purchase orders, invoices as shown on vendor list of payments A, correct? Is there any discussion? I know I had several questions on some, but I didn't get anything back, so hopefully nothing's earth shattering.
There were two that I saw that had questions on them and, as for animal control, I have them written on there unless you want me to discuss them now.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Okay. It's 10:10. I think we have a public hearing at 10:10. I will open the public hearing regarding the merger of the Lake Floyd Public Service District with and into the Sun Valley Public Service District. Is there anyone here to speak for or against the merger? Anyone here to speak for or against the merger?
Motion to close the public meeting.
Okay. Motion to close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Okay. Back to the agenda, item 7, exoneration corrective tickets, joint property applications. We have none. Is that correct?
Correct, Madam President.
Okay. Number 8, consideration of approval of a project fund requisition for the payment of costs associated with a project to be financed from proceeds of the Series 2019 bonds issued for the Charles Point Economic Opportunity Development District Series 2021A and B Development District Number 3, White Oaks Project Number 2, and Series 2008A Charles Point Project Number 2, Northland Bay Improvements A and B. What's the pleasure?
Move to approve A and B.
Motion to approve number 8, A and B. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 9, review, discuss, consider order to approve the merger of the Lake Floyd Public Service District with and into the Sun Valley Public Service District. What's the pleasure?
Trey's, any issues?
Mr. Glover and I were communicating this morning, and we had discussed making the Class 1 legal ad, the affidavit of posting in 5 conspicuous places, part of the record as well. But other than that, no.
And I spoke to Mr. Zimmerman. I actually have with me the notice of public hearing, which brought us here today. I have the publisher certificate from the Exponent Telegram. It was published in the Exponent Telegram on December 24th. So I believe we're within the time frame. I actually have the publisher certificate. I've paid the ad already with the Exponent, and I have an affidavit from Kevin Short, who's here today, the general manager, indicating that the public notice that I have to submit was in fact posted in 5 conspicuous places in the service territories of Sun Valley and Lake Floyd, and also I had it posted here. Sorry about that. Had it posted here at the county clerk. I don't know where that is, but I made arrangements to have it posted here. So it was actually posted, I believe 6 times. And then I have, I submitted last week an order to Michelle, which had a couple of typos in it. So I've corrected those typos, and I have an order approving the merger of Lake Floyd's Public Service District into the Sun Valley Public Service District. And since we last met and set up today's thing, I've also notified the Public Service Commission, as I was required to do, that this is probably coming, this approval. So I think we've jumped through all the hoops, done everything we need to do. Now that we've had the public hearing and nobody protested, we're asking on behalf of Lake Floyd PSD and Sun Valley PSD, we're asking that the commission consider merging Lake Floyd into and with Sun Valley Public Service District, which, like commission knows, they've been doing for several years anyways through an operation and maintenance. That's all I've got.
Motion to complete the merger.
And affix appropriate signature. Motion to approve the merger and affix the appropriate signatures to the order. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, ma'am, and to attach information from legal postings and all other information that
The corrected order.
corrected order and the information that was supplied to be made part of the record today.
All right, that to Mr. Treco. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried.
Question. PSC, Mr. Glover, are you gonna make sure they get everything which they need there?
I am.
Perfect. Thank you.
Number 10, review, discuss, update from Parks and Rec, Mike Book, Director, and James Richards, Deputy Director. I don't see Mike, but I see James.
Yeah, we're just, what we've been doing is finding out what people want, the whole. Determine basically and give events for people and things for them to do through the parks, especially in the winter months. So we've got a bunch of plans. We have trivia, flea market, line dancing. We got cornhole, and we got, I don't know if anybody knows anything about Hot Wheels racetracks, a big thing. I did not know it. That's set to go up in February. And most of this stuff doesn't cost the parks any money. It's organic. People are coming out. And basically we want something for people to do constantly. And what we've been doing as far as maintaining the parks, we've got the commodes, plumbing. Right now we got it all tore out and redoing it all because it's leaking, replace tile, redoing the floors. The lights we're converting to LED. And I know people's mentioned the bathrooms. We got a blueprint now for that. Like for instance, the one in Spelter, to make a concrete bathroom, we're looking at less than $10,000. We're gonna do the work now. We just gotta buy the supplies. And the Summit Park, where the electrical problem we had over there, had it looked into. Actually last week, guy was over there, and we came to an idea where we can reduce that by 80% by having, we're gonna do the work, we're gonna dig the trenches, put the conduit in. An electrician will work by the hour. So step by step, we can watch the funds on that. I mean, every week you can get an update on that, what's it cost? And it should be relatively cheap. We went to a couple places for lighting, LED lighting for the baseball field at the top. And it's came back pretty cheap compared to what the bids were. So we can probably get that done and the bottom done relatively cheap. We're going to take down the buildings ourselves. So most of that stuff will be very cost effective. So we need to get that fixed and then go from there on that. As we're working in Wallace, we're going to take that down too and replace that, the electrical and the plumbing, which will be relatively cheap too. You're looking at about $900 to get that fixed. That was the estimates I have so far. The bathrooms. If we get the one bathroom in Spelter, we can replicate that if people like what we're doing with that. And the cost, very cost effective. Good Hope, we've cleaned that park up. And the only problem we have out there is parking. We've come up with an idea where we can get at least 50 parking spots out there. Which would be around, to get that, probably about $2,000.
50 parking spaces?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, we have probably, if you put them all in there, you might get 10. There, you know where the sycamore tree is?
No, I don't, but all I know is I know where the basketball
We just
court
got
is
some
and the
drainage
ball
that we
field.
can put drainage in there and
You
take care of that.
taking
and
that
drive.
sycamore tree out,
Yes, yes, sir.
takes up a big area.
Yes, and it's relatively old right now anyway, and a lot of limbs are falling off of it. We sprayed the baseball field. So when spring comes, we can utilize that and put it right back to being a baseball field. Relatively easy. It's just there's no parking. So if people go out there, there's no, you're gonna have maybe 10 parking spots. So that was a problem.
Well, it's always
trying
been
to
the issue,
address.
more, I mean, other than maintenance.
Yeah, so taking the sycamore tree won't cost us nothing to move because we're gonna do it ourselves. We now have people that had actually done professional tree trimming. We got a dump truck. We can load the stuff up, haul it, recycle it. And we can put the parking lot in there. So that's something we're looking into. We'll get approval on that. We're gonna do that. The Summit Park one, back to it. We'd like to utilize that lower field on the right for general purposes. There's a bunch of activities people want to do, 3D, bow, and a lot of other things. If we did do that, we could separate this. They have power running down where the walk was. I don't know if you guys have been out there. It's kind of, well, the power line runs under the steps. We're going to disconnect those two and have two separate connections, one for the upper field for the baseball field, one for the lower field. We'd have two breakers, so we can control it that way. And you can wire up. They have a concession stand up there right now. That only has 15 amps, so they can't run nothing. They have a bunch of equipment, but they can't run nothing. So when we put the power, put the breaker box up there, they can actually put all the power they want in there and run it.
Can we set up a pole meter in its own
Absolutely.
power up on that top field?
So you can differentiate the two usage. Yeah.
I would think that would be the best for us, is to meter that separately from the rest if they're gonna use it day and night.
Yeah, and it would actually do us a service to disconnect it because you're running that all the way up to the ground. We're going to disconnect both services and had two separate services. And for the baseball field, the only thing that really needs replaced, got a guy looking at the LED lighting, which we'll get. They've offered to give us a cheap rate. We just have a frame belt, aluminum frame belt for the lighting, have it mounted. So everything we do, we're not really contracting out. We're just hiring an electrician to hook up the stuff that's required by electrician and do the wiring. The rest of the stuff we can do, which would be extremely cheap. We might have to rent a piece of equipment to put it up there, but outside that, they've offered to give us 30% off that also. So we can do it. We can do it in sections so everybody can see what you're spending and you have an idea of what's going on. So we had 3 phases on that: the upper lighting and the meters, and then wiring into the buildings. The bathrooms need rewired up and down.
Applied for a grant, right? Okay.
Thank you so much.
We do have bouncy houses in the process of ordering. I've reached out to everybody to make sure we get stuff that we can use indoors, outdoors, wet, dry. We have a lot of people out there actually that come out to the park just to play in the snow. But when we open that up, we'll have a place for the kids, and everybody can come out and have something to do. That's the main thing we're trying to do right now, is open it up so people have things to do and they look forward to it. And I've talked to a lot of people, and as soon as we're stripping the whole floors down out there. We've replaced a bunch of tiles so far, and we're going to do some more, and then that'll be good to go, and it'll be easy to maintain because we bought the equipment to maintain it, keep it up. So the whole purpose is to keep the buildings optimal condition.
It's all right with the other 2 commissioners, if you and I and Danny could get together on the electrical, discuss whether we're gonna put 200 amp, 400 amp.
Where they were, the lower part, they were wanting to put 200 amp.
Where are we at now?
We're down in the
Summit.
lower field.
I just want to
Summit
make sure.
Park.
Are we? I
Summit
can't,
Park.
I know you're at Summit Park. I understand that. But are
So-
you working with the softball league?
I've reached out to them a couple times and they haven't got back.
Well, I'll get a hold of somebody. I mean. That's it.
The service up there is actually, it's not even working right now.
I'm not saying that we don't do this, don't get me wrong, but before you do anything with that lower field.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what buildings are you gonna tear down? I
It's
mean, I
the-
know the one needs to go.
It's the little building that's in front of the concession stand, which has a meter.
Okay.
What they did, they piggybacked off it and ran another box inside. It serves no purpose outside of having to run wiring through it, and
And
It's
the
the little
storage building is still okay?
Which one?
The storage building on the right, before you get to the concession stand? When you're going down, is that the building you're talking about?
Yeah, this needs removed. It's
Okay,
lower
that's what I
than,
thought, yeah.
water runs in there all the time. It's
Right,
rotted
and that's where
inside.
they break into all the time.
Well, it's done stripped everything out of it and water, it's a lower, the water runs in there all the time and it's rotted. That, the storage building and the little concession stand, not the bigger one. And we're just gonna redo the bathrooms down there.
But you're not gonna remove the concession stand,
No,
the old, okay. That was what. my
it's
question.
just a little building. I don't know if they used it at one time as a concession.
Yeah,
It's
they
just a little
did.
tiny bit. They got electrical, in order to do it right, we're gonna run it underground. And we're gonna put 200 amps in there, as 200 amps services. That way, if you do lighting out there, you can run another one off the 200 amp. And we're just gonna run to the bathroom. We're gonna put it underground so there's no wires overhead. We're just gonna put conduit. And you have two services. You have one up in the upper field where the baseballs, where we have the lighting at now. That meter needs replaced. It's all rusted up and pretty bad
And
condition.
as long as it's approved by somebody that it's all legal.
Yeah, Gore is actually one of the inspectors. He teaches at Gore, electrician. We done checked into all that. There'll be an electrician who will charge by the hour to do the stuff we cannot do. That way we're kind of got a buffer there.
I say we just let an electrician do whatever they need to do.
We were gonna
We do
do,
our thing.
we were gonna do the
Stay
conduit,
in our
put all
lane.
the conduit in, which is easy to do. He was gonna tell us what he needs. He's marked it. We discussed this with him. He's gonna mark what he needs. He's gonna show us what he wants. We're gonna put the conduit in, and the pull wire in. He's gonna set all the meters up, do all the service, hook it up, and we're gonna have the
Is there a
inspector from
timeline on
Gore.
this?
He could do it as soon as we give him the green light. He can do the top part probably in 3 weeks. We can have it done in 3 weeks. We would want to do it in the winter time if we can, that
I
way.
think the top needs to, I mean, since it's
Yeah,
utilized the most.
and that was where we were
Top
going.
priority.
That's
No
where
pun
we were going to
intended.
start. Cause we were gonna dig underneath the driveway and go out to the pavilion out there. It only has one circuit in it now. We're gonna put a couple more in there. That way you have more electric, and if you want to put a light up, you can put a light out there. The bathrooms there, we were gonna put a drain, like a French drain down in front of it, so the water doesn't run in the bathrooms, so. That's what we was working on up there for that.
Now, these events you're talking about out at Parks and Rec, the line dancing and whatever else, are those going on now?
We were gonna have one Thursday, but with the 2 days off, we had to. kind
But
of
do you have anything scheduled?
This week?
I mean.
We
any of
have
this-
wrestling this weekend. We have the flea markets coming in 18th and
You didn't
19th.
mention the wrestling, did you?
I just did.
You just did, but you didn't before that. That wasn't an event.
Yeah.
You know, I still haven't, I would like to see something about the concessions.
Absolutely.
I really would like to see that. I went to one. I'm not a fan. I'll be the first one to tell you that.
I'm neither, and nobody knows that, but I'll say it on
but,
record. But people
I
love it.
saw, I don't know, a gesture that was made that I didn't approve of. There were kids there. You need to keep an eye on that, and I
Absolutely.
understand there was some language at the last one. And a gesture, another one. And is there something else we can do? Is that the only thing we have to do once a month or twice a month? I think we had two, and is there other things that we can do besides that?
Absolutely. What?
I'm sorry, I mean, I want what people want, don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but I'd
and
like
and I got
to
a
get a
bunch-
variety.
Yeah, and just while I was waiting here, I got
And
a bunch-
that building is not, that room is not the acoustics. I needed ear plugs.
By the way, we just got the sound system in and it works 100 times better. So when we have events out there, and it's nothing to do with wrestling, they have their own system. But when we're doing karaoke, trivia, everybody's asking for sound systems. So now we have one in there, and we got to put in relatively cheap compared to all the estimates. That will help out immensely with different events going on, with everything actually.
But I don't want to interfere with the CEOS group either. I want to make sure that they're still able to utilize that building.
Now, when they have their meetings, we cleaned out a conference room upstairs. Because when people were using it, they were just using one portion, but you can't do nothing in the rest of it. You're basically taking up the whole building. If you're using one portion, if you don't want any noise and you're talking. So there's a conference room that we've removed everything out of upstairs. And actually they've used it twice already. So they can, if they don't got a large group, they can go up there and it's a lot more comfortable too, and it's.
But I still like to be able to work around them if they do need to use, I mean, I don't know how these other guys feel, but this is just me talking. If they need to use the whole facility.
Yeah, and I don't know how many days they're wanting, a month or what?
Well, I thought you've always had a schedule. You've
Well,
always had a calendar.
We've tabled schedules until we get the place cleaned up. And right now, we're stripping all the floors and cleaning it all up. And we're working on the bathrooms right now, has no commodes in them. They're out working on them now. We've stripped everything out because we had leaks and stuff. It's been all fixed.
Well, I think you know where I'm at, so.
Yeah.
So much, sir.
Any more questions?
Thank you. Number 11, review, discuss, consider MOU by and between the Harrison County Commission and the Harrison County Development Authority regarding Wolf Summit Energy.
Madam President, this is an MOU between the County Commission and the Harrison County Development Authority that should any funds come in from Wolf Summit Energy for that piece of property, that they would come directly to Harrison County Commission into our general county account. This has already been presented to the Development Authority and approved by them on their previous meeting back in December. So now it's in front of the commission for your approval.
And to fix the appropriate signatures. Motion to approve the MOU between the Harrison County Commission and the Harrison County Development Authority regarding Wolf Summit Energy and affix the appropriate signature or signatures. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 12.
Madam President, I would request that the commission tables number 12. We actually need to have a meeting with the new elected officials, the assessor and the new sheriff and everything for a discussion before this comes in front of commission, just so we have the new elected officials in the loop and aware of what's going on with this situation. So I would request that it be tabled for this time being. Right now, we're looking at having a meeting possibly on Monday.
Motion approved and stated by County Administrator to table.
Motion to table number 12 as stated by the administrator for the reasons stated by the administrator. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Review, discuss, consider potential conveyance to town of Lost Creek FEMA property. It's found at deed book 1475 at page 585. What's a pleasure?
Madam President, so the town of Lost Creek reached out to us years ago, back in 2010. They actually have a letter from previous commission that talked about them receiving this piece of property that is mentioned. This piece of property is a FEMA property that the county has acquired using FEMA funds. So it would be my recommendation that if commission wants to try to convey this piece of property, the proper steps be followed, and which means that we would have the town of Lost Creek, since they're the ones who are wanting it, reach out to the state for the state's approval to have this piece of property transferred, because it's a FEMA property. It's just not an easy.
It has to be
transfer.
approved by them before you can be
It,
transferred.
it does, absolutely.
So tell me what we do.
Um,
How often will we do this?
No, you want to
Motion.
approve it, but you want Lost Creek
to go ahead,
And incur the,
to reach out to the state for approval for
all
the transfer
legal.
of this piece of property.
Disclosure on Lost Creek's attorney. So the motion, as I understand it, would be to approve the transaction subject to Lost Creek getting consent.
Okay,
we need the consent before we transfer.
okay.
100%.
Okay. Motion to approve pending consent from FEMA. How's that?
From the
Or the state? Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 14, review, discuss, consider resignation of Robert L. Greer as fiduciary commissioner.
Motion approved. Mr. Greer.
Motion to approve the resignation of Robert L. Greer as fiduciary commissioner. Is there any discussion? I just want to say we really need to get somebody in place, at least one for now, with the possibility of two if we can.
The plan is to have at least one on the agenda for next week.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Number 15, review, discuss, consider request to attend a meeting for 911 employees to go to Barber County 911 on January 14th and 15th for Class ICS 400, Advanced ICS for Complex Incidents for Steve Martin, Megan Rowan, Gary Keith, and Lindsay Atha.
We should approve travel as right back in the.
Motion to approve the travel for the 911 employees as stated. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. Number 16, review, discuss, consider 2025 application for the HIDA sub-award agreement.
Gina?
Good morning and Happy New Year. Uh, this is an agreement, with the Appalachian HIDA program, and HIDA stands for High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area. And we are one of 4 states that are involved with this grant. And this is a sub-agreement or sub-award agreement for, that would pay for overtime for our drug trafficking, department to do their work, to go out and hunt for drugs. It just pays the overtime for the sheriff's department's people that are in this drug task force.
Motion approved, yes, stated. In our grant writer,
And affix.
and I think the appropriate signature.
Motion to approve the application for the HIDA sub-award grant agreement and to fix the appropriate signature or signatures. Is there any discussion?
Yeah. Laura, what else have we applied for? I mean, what are we getting? Like governments all over 55 counties dropping money like crazy. What are we getting? Anything?
We have several grants that, like the congressional spending, the 1.3 and everything. Gina actually has a spreadsheet that I can send to all 3 commissioners of stuff that she has applied for.
Are we going to anything before the 10th?
I don't think that there's anything that could be
No,
awarded
there's-
by the 10th.
Did we
No,
apply for anything?
We've applied for a lot of things. I mean, we can send
we've
you the,
applied for a lot. The only thing I'm working on now that's due the 17th is for another spay and neuter grant.
This last round that he just gave,
Yeah, like he's.
did
going
we,
through the
were we
outreach.
involved in that or was?
Have we applied for anything like for the projects we have coming up that, you know, like Rural Trail?
Oh, I've Applied for all kinds of things out there. We're just waiting to hear back.
I think he's asking at the state level.
In the state level,
Yeah, right now, he's dropping millions of dollars.
I have not through the governor, no.
What do you think, Laura? He's dumping money, why? We don't have anything he's gonna deliver to Harrison County.
we can look into that and find out if you want.
Well, look, it's over. I mean, you sure can have.
Maybe for the future, hopefully we'll,
I just.
There'll still be some
he's dropping
left.
Money like crazy. I hate to ask for anything.
But was that, has the time period passed for the applications on that?
no, I'm
Or
sure
is
it
it
has, he's
still
already getting the
open?
money out. He was here yesterday.
He was here yesterday, gave.
So that,
He's throwing money around to the point that he could literally, they got a grant for $900,000 for Bridgeport, and just because they had extra money, they doubled it. I mean, what a gift to the bridge for us here in Harrison County.
I'm just thankful Amor got some money for their water.
Yeah. I just wonder if the community can receive any money for our projects, or if we even apply.
I can check into it. I can't think of anything right offhand that we've applied for other than all the applications I put in through the Homeland Security side of it, which cover a lot of those projects, a lot of things. I mean, that was like a total of $2.5 million right there, total grants that I applied for at that time.
Peter, are you the only one right now writing grants?
Mhm.
But there's no rule, like James, you can apply for a grant, and I mean, I'm not bragging on her. Gina knows every grant inside and out, you've been doing this for a long time, find something. Apply for it. If you apply 20 times and you get one, it's a win. See what I'm saying? Everything happens, the law. Please. You have a diamond right here in her and use it. You know.
Okay, we did vote on that, correct? I just want to make sure. Okay,
No, I don't think we did. I was under discussion.
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Who's opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
The only thing that I have is, it's a new year, so it starts a new budget cycle. The state auditor's office already sent out the schedule for the budget workshop, which there'll be one here, held here in Bridgeport, the end of February. We'll start pulling those numbers together and start working on the budget.
Commissioner Henkel?
Well, we're done with that.
That's what my agenda says.
Uh,
You got a different one.
no, I'll just happy new year to everyone. The last few days, our staff has been very busy trying to clean up around the courthouse and the other buildings. I think they've done a good job. And, well, thanks Laura for, keeping tabs on everything. And it looks like we're gonna have more fun maybe over the weekend with more snow. So good luck.
The only thing I want to add, and for the upcoming meeting if necessary, if not, go ahead and have Laura begin the process. Is Laura, if you're not on our network, like when I was a utility worker and now work, you can't punch in. So I want the geofencing established here, unless you're on the Harrison County network, you can't punch in your car. You have to be on our network to sign in. That way we know who's signing in when, and then get back to us with the process that, I know what the handbook says right now, but it's so vague that if you have X amount of tardies or X amount of absences, then we need to know, be fair with our employees and let them know what that expectation is. That's where John's concern is the county clerk, that'll fall in the guide for him, but it's up to him as an elected official to manage his people and decide, yeah, you've been absent 12 times, but you can still work here. But as far as the commission's concerned, we want a plan in place that's definitive and also get with IT, and it's easy.
There's a fee, I think, believe me, if I remember correctly, there's a fee for the geofencing
Yeah, I don't care what it is.
through. Or did they?
It should be, I think.
It's through Paycom, but I believe there's a fee for it. I could be wrong, and maybe it's changed. I mean, I don't think it's astronomical, but I think we need to check with Paycom.
If they were or weren't. So let's say you couldn't do it, it costs money, you can still have the supervisor check and know that, hey, you bought into your house, not at this area where we wanted you to. So there's other ways.
I'm tracking you, and I agree with you, but I simply wanted to be, if you're not on our network, you're just not on our network. And remember, you as a constitutional officer, you're gonna handle your staff however.
Yeah, we can't deal with anybody else besides the
You understand
commission
what I'm saying?
employees.
But your people aren't gonna be able to clock in unless they're on our network. And that goes throughout the courthouse, but except the deputies, of course, they have to be excluded from that because, like your husband, he clocked in his office, which is his group.
As soon as I get in that car. The vehicle.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out what we're gonna on the different locations on the network, but you know, people separately. We could have the time clock pre-established, so they can clock in time clock building or on their desktop computer.
Well, for example, the 911 center where fiber optic cable goes into it, does your building have that? Fiber optic cable going into it?
We have
So, of course, and then, of course, I understand what you're saying, but like at our new animal control facility, absolutely, they don't need the time clock at our new one. They're just gonna be able to use your phone, we're 2025, they can.
But I think what she's getting at is if you do that, then they have to clock in at the building,
I want them to clock in.
that's the way it started.
I want
And
them to
don't
clock
know
in. They report to work every day, right?
Yeah, but no, what I'm saying is, instead of paying for an extra fee, we can make them clock in at their desk or on a time clock.
And that's what you wanted all along.
No, you can
Well,
do
so it
that.
was on the time clock and we were doing time clock and then somewhere along the line, the time clock got to computers and then from computers, it went to cell phones and
Computer be okay if you.
Cell phone is myself, is my computer, so my point is I don't want you to be able to punch in and I want to be able to accumulate. You know, not that anybody's doing anything wrong, but we want to establish, you know, what our expectations are here at the courthouse. Please. And bring it to us as a commission and you two decide.
I think the other thing that happened, Patsy, was other elected officials did not force the
That's the.
time clock.
That is your. job.
And so they were allowed to sign in from their desk or from their phone. And I just think the whole system kind of went.
During COVID, it really went away from the time clock because everyone would have to wipe the time clock.
This is my favorite thing to say, Madam Chair. Open is open. And it's gone. And let's get.
It's not gone.
And let's
but
get this,
it's
get this as far as affecting our, as a society, you know, it's still killing people, but. Anyway, geofencing is easy and we have a great IT department. I know they'll be able to figure that out. And then the last thing I have is whenever I, Commissioner, Hinkle and, President want to let me know what's convenient. I'll work with the county administrator to go ahead and, schedule a date to do for, 2024 review. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Today?
Hmm.
Today. Just, you asked, I watched the thing that said when somebody asks you something, just say, now let's do it.
I wish I spoke to you for 2 weeks ago. It's not what I'm not scheduled, what I have to say. I have that.
okay. I don't have anything.
Mention your.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried.
I get cheer in this building that doesn't hurt me.